Hey everyone, my name is Charlie, and I'm currently sat in my car at work, waiting for a volunteer to arrive because my car's quite warm and I am that much of a skinflint that I actually kind of decide to stay in here until all the warmth has gone, simply so that I can get my money's worth. Anyway, whilst I wait, I thought that it would be a perfect time to record a video about the third week of Indisputably Doris. Now, you might remember that we enjoyed the first week, we enjoyed the second week, and we were quite glad of audience participation. The third week of Indisputably Doris events was something of an experience. It is the only way I can describe it. It was definitely an experience. You are currently on a device that my mother bought me so as I could use my phone as a sat nav. I used this device to go to Barnton Library on the Monday. I can't remember what the date was. I think it was the 9th of October. I should mention I also did an event at Nantwich Library. I knew where Nantwich was. I figured out where the library was. The worst thing that happened there was that I nearly drove into the bus station because I was looking for the long stay car park, but it turned out it was right near the short stay car park. Anyway, Nantwich went fine. Really enjoyed myself at Nantwich. Great questions, great people that I knew. Didn't know that they lived in Nantwich, but now I know where they live. I'm not a stalker, but I can find you. Went to Barnton Library. Now, this was somewhere that I didn't know where it was. I was trying to persuade people to take me up until the point that I left the house, and then I just had to use the sat nav on my phone, and I hadn't yet figured out how to use this device that you're currently on. So my phone ended up falling down, so I kept having to push it up, and I'm going along a 60-mile-an-hour road, trying to figure out which lane I'm supposed to be in for this turning I've got to make because I don't know whether it branches off yet. Eventually, I managed to get to Barnton Library through all these little tiny winding roads. And I'll talk about the end of this journey eventually, because this is all an experience, and I like to talk about the driving experience because as a newly qualified driver, I find everything completely interesting and unexpected. And so, we're at Barnton Library, and I arrived to 3 children there. I know one of the children was called Honey because one of my former colleagues now works at her school as, I don't know what she does. She works in catering anyway. I'm at Barnton Library. There's 3 children there. Doris wasn't really written for children. I've not known many primary school children understand Doris, so I was understandably a bit concerned about the fact that only children had shown up as to whether I'd maybe advertised myself wrong and they thought that I was this prolific children's writer. I mean, Honey did ask me whether I was famous and was very disappointed that I wasn't. I'm quite sorry for disappointing the children of Northwich by informing them that I'm not in fact famous. This disappoints me as well. It's not necessarily the fame I want. I just kind of want to have enough money so that I can live in a house that didn't have asbestos in it for 20 years. So Barnton Library, my former colleague turned up. A colleague of my cousin's turned up, and a lady turned up who I believe was called Sandra, and I'm very sorry if she wasn't. I am terrible with names. I've met a few people over these last few months. So there are only 3 people there really, and the librarian, which isn't the best turnout, but on average, according to the Society of Authors, you only average about 8 people at library events, so I was nearly halfway there. And I do enjoy reading Doris, and I do enjoy talking to people about it. It was just more the fact that I'd driven such a long way, and I was worried about the drive back. And this colleague who lives in Northwich said to me, follow me back. Follow me back to my house, and then go over the bridge. And she told me to go straight ahead at the roundabout. But my phone recalculated, and it told me to turn left, and I thought, well, I'll follow the phone, which was a mistake, because I ended up on every single country lane there is in Cheshire West and coming into Cheshire, and I thought there was going to be a Hills Have Eyes type situation. Seriously, some of these roads were pitch black. I was the only car on these roads for an hour, And I was like, main beam on. At some point, something orange jumped out, and I'm just hoping it was a fox. I didn't hit it, but it just jumped quite high, and I thought, right, we're speeding up here. Couldn't speed up because the roads were so windy. And I've only talked about one library and we're 6 minutes in. Anyway, I did eventually get home, and that's when I turned the music on in my car because I was like, there we go, we've got through all the nerves now, we're not dead. I don't think that I locked my car doors because I'm actually not that sure how to lock the car doors once I'm in the car. Then, Tuesday, I went to Edgeley Library, and Edgeley went through Stockport at 5 miles an hour because it was lunchtime traffic. That was fine. We got into Edgeley, and only one of my volunteers showed up. That was it. One volunteer who already owns the book, and I can't say why that happened because we advertised. I was on Twitter every day talking about it. Edgeley Library have been great, and they'd done a huge poster that was taller than me. They got posters everywhere. They were putting it all over the internet, all over Twitter, Facebook, social media, all that fun stuff. Also, I should thank Honey for putting my event at Barnton on Snapchat. As I aforementioned, I don't think your friends necessarily wanted to hear about a 72-year-old woman, but thank you. So yes, so I can't understand why Edgeley didn't work. It was a shame because, as I say, I just like sharing my writing with people, and when we'd gone to quite a bit to organise things, it's always a disappointment when people don't arrive. But you can't expect people to arrive either. You've got to just take these things as they come. On the Wednesday, this time my mother was driving, which was probably for the best. We went to Altrincham Library, and this is the first time I've ever been taken into a staff room. Like, honestly, I felt like a celebrity. They were like hiding me away in the staff room, giving me staff room coffee. It was great. Like, properly. I believe it's... I'm very sorry if I get this wrong, because I've had a Susanna, a Suzanne, and a Beverly in 1 week. So, thank you to all of you, but I'm sorry. I can't remember the name of the person who gave me the coffee, because 2 of you gave me coffee. In fact, I think I had a Susanna and Suzanne on the same day. Sorry about it. Anyhow, so then I came out the staff room, and we'd got a friend from uni, Liz, my mother, and two audience members, and then a 5th lady who just made me smile so much, came over for coffee, and was just talking to me throughout the reading. It was great. We were interacting with each other. It was just one of those things that was exceptionally funny. And one of those moments that I will save as a writer. After that, I forgot that Lee's Library in Oldham had actually ordered 24 copies, 12 of each book. And so I went to my mother, we've run out of books, we're going to have to go home, which is a 40-minute drive and then another hour drive. And I have to be at Oldham within 2 hours. No, I had to be at Oldham within 3 hours. But I'd got an hour and a half's worth of driving to do, while my mother had. Thank you, mother. So then we drove home, grabbed some Doris's, and as I got up to Lee's Library in Oldham, said to my mother, I've just remembered the librarian ordered copies. And then I got there, and the room was full. And again, got taken into a staff room. It must have been because it was National Libraries Week, because usually I'm just like, stand over there. If you want a cup of coffee, here's the thing. You're making it yourself. And it's usually those really difficult machines, so you're just like, I'll just have water. Just stick to the water, love. H2O and all that fan stuff. I don't need any more tannin on me teeth drinking 10 pints a day. I do mean tea. I drink 10 pints of tea / coffee each day because I am English, and English people don't have red blood. We have brown blood, and it's all the tannin, I can tell thee. Anyway, so we went to Lee's Library Oldham. Quite a full room. We read the book. Well, I read the book. And that was when Suzanne pointed out that I keep saying we. Like, I turned myself into the type of person who doesn't say I say we, and I'm confusing a lot of people with this, with my writing, because I'm there like, we did this, and she's like, well, who's the other person? Oh, I'm sorry, I just mean me. It's the royal we. It's the person I've turned into. My mother tried to do this whole nice motherly thing of saying it's just that he's got Doris and Harold in his head the entire time, so they're the three, they're the we. I hope so. Unfortunately, I only sold one copy at Lee's library, and thus I've heard I will be receiving the 24 copies back. And I'm quite worried this means that I have lost the money in postage. However, once again, I am grateful for all of these events, and if the library hadn't purchased the books themselves, and it wasn't such a monetary failure for a lot of us, I think I'd be less disappointed with it, because we got a ton of people at that event, and Oldham Libraries did a great job with advertising. We're incredibly supportive. We're just incredible, basically. I just think next time we'll just have I'll just bring some books along and we'll split some profits. And then I went to Chorlton Library with Margaret Holbrook and Joy Winkler, and this was the weirdest event I've ever done, the strangest event I've ever done, and I can talk about it this way because it was the most disappointing event in terms of disappointing events. 3 librarians were asked to sit in with us because only one member of the public had turned up, and I'm grateful to the person for turning up. He did mention we should have done a nighttime event, and that's entirely plausible. We might have needed to do a nighttime event, but that wasn't on the cards, that wasn't offered to us, and the advertising could have been better for it. It was just a failure on my part, and I shouldn't have booked so many events for the same week, because definitely it gets to you if you get disappointed at one event. To get disappointed in quick succession at others quickly turns into this horrible thing, and you spend quite a long time under a cloud. In fact, I must apologise to certain people that I have ranted at in the last week, because I was definitely a bit too disappointed with everything that had gone on, and I've written a lot of angry poems about farming in the last week due to this. And then I had a final event at Knutsford Library on Thursday as well, and this was organised by Mike Drew. It featured Margaret Holbrook and John Linley, who was the former Cheshire Poet Laureate, and a few of us had been invited to read as like an open mic portion of it. For National Libraries Week, on the subject of people, somebody had done this poem regarding King Canute and talked about King Canute and his possible relation to Knutsford, which was quite interesting. It was a good night, but by this point I think I'd just reached the end of my tether, and I didn't want to read to anybody anymore. This was my 6th event in 4 days, and I was just feeling it a bit. And I think I've said to Joy now, when I've talked about organising events, I said that I think that I'm going to be, if I organise events in future, I'm not going to book so many in 1 week, because other people can do it, but I'm not that type of person. That's it. I think they're the majority of the library events that are done. As I've said before, thank you to all of the librarians who have helped me to bring Doris to people. I think I will try and arrange some more events for the new year, but because 3 weeks of events is definitely not enough when you're trying to get a book out there and make a career as an independent writer. But it's all I've got time for at the moment, because I know what I've got coming in the next few months, because December in retail is one of the biggest times, and we still haven't got any of our Christmas stock out. We have Christmas Fest here in Poynton, so that'll be happening on the 5th of December, so I'll be working till 10 o'clock at night and then back in the morning for 8 o'clock. So if I don't have some sort of fit of rage, I don't know what I'll do. I'm just glad there's a Costa Coffee across the road and they do gingerbread lattes. Anyway, if you have any questions about my writing or wish to invite me to your local library, then please feel free to let me know in the comments, and we'll talk about how we can make that possible. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, that is all.